My daughter rolled her eyes and remarked, "You don't pay for anything." I chose to let her comment resonate. Later that afternoon, when her accounts were frozen, she called me in tears. "Hello, I'm Patricia, though most people refer to me as Patty. I am 72 years old and have spent my entire life in Ohio. Before we delve into my story, I would appreciate knowing where you are viewing from. Please share your state or country in the comments. It reassures me that I am not alone in this experience." Now, allow me to share how I came to realize that sometimes those who take you for granted must learn what life is like in your absence. This narrative began on a Tuesday morning in March. I was seated at my kitchen table, the same table where I had prepared breakfast for my daughter Rachel for 18 years, assisted her with homework, and listened to her teenage heartaches. The morning sun streamed through the lace curtains I had crafted myself as I reviewed my bank app on my phone. Rachel, now 34 and working in marketing for a tech company downtown, had visited the night before, dressed in her usual sharp blazers and heels that clicked against the hardwood floors. She had come over for dinner, pot roast, her favorite since she was 6. "Mom, this house is so outdated," she said, gesturing around my dining room. "You really should renovate, get rid of all this old lady stuff." Old lady stuff? This included the antique hutch that belonged to my grandmother, the china cabinet filled with dishes from my wedding 45 years ago, and the carefully arranged family photographs. I managed a smile, suppressing my hurt. "Maybe someday, sweetheart." Then came the real reason for her visit. "So, Mom, Brad and I are considering a trip to Cancun for our anniversary. The resort is $3,000 per person for the week, and I thought you could help us out as an anniversary gift." Brad, her husband of 6 years, is a decent man who works in finance and often discusses investments and portfolios. Together, they earn a substantial income, nearly $200,000 annually. "That's quite expensive, Rachel," I responded cautiously. She sighed, the kind of sigh children reserve for parents they view as difficult. "Mom, you don't understand. We work very hard. We deserve nice things. Besides, it's not like you have expenses. Your house is paid off and you receive Social Security." At that moment, I felt something within me fracture, yet I merely smiled and said I would consider it. The following morning, while sitting at my table, I reflected on our conversation and many other things. I opened my banking app and examined the account I had established for Rachel when she turned 25. It was intended for emergencies, and although I was the primary account holder, I had granted her full access. Over the years, I had deposited money on various occasions, birthday gifts, Christmas money, and contributions to help her build a safety net. As I reviewed the transaction history, a chill ran through me. The transactions spanned months, no, years. Scrolling through that history felt like witnessing my daughter's entire life of entitlement unfold in dollar amounts. Designer handbags, $1,500 at Louis Vuitton, $2,200 at Gucci, spa days, wine bars, high-end restaurants 3 or 4 times a week, a $600 charge at a boutique I had never heard of, and another $800 at Nordstrom. My hands trembled. This was not emergency money. It was Rachel's personal ATM. The funds I had contributed came from my modest savings, the life insurance policy I cashed in after my husband Frank passed away 8 years ago, and from selling off items I no longer needed. I had been surviving on $1,200 a month from Social Security, clipping coupons and opting for generic brands. I wore the same winter coat I had for 15 years because it was still functional. I had canceled my cable to save money, keeping only basic internet for video calls with my sister in Florida. Meanwhile, my daughter had spent thousands of my dollars on luxury items. The account that had started with $43,000 now held only $9,000. $34,000 had vanished. I sat there for 20 minutes staring at that screen. The grandfather clock in the hallway, Frank's grandfather clock, ticked away the silence. Outside, Mrs. Henderson walked her little terrier as she did every morning at 9. Everything appeared normal, yet nothing was. I called Rachel. She answered on the third ring, sounding distracted. "Hey, Mom, I'm about to go into a meeting." "We need to discuss the account," I said, my voice sounding strange even to me, flat and cold. "What account?" "The emergency account, the one I set up for you." A pause ensued. "Oh yeah, what about it?" You've spent $34,000, Rachel. Another pause, this one longer. Mom, I can explain. I'm listening. Those weren't frivolous purchases. I needed those things for work. You have to look professional in my industry. And Brad and I have expenses you don't understand. Our mortgage, our car payments. Your mortgage on a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs. Your car payments on a BMW and a Mercedes. Mom, you're being judgmental. We work hard for our lifestyle. Something within me snapped. Maybe it was the casual way she stated it, or the memory of how I had eaten ramen noodles for a week last month to afford her birthday gift. I don't pay for anything, I said quietly. What? Yesterday, you said I don't have expenses, that I don't pay for anything. Rachel sighed. Mom, I didn't mean it like that. You're being oversensitive. Look, I really do have this meeting. Have your meeting, I replied. We'll talk later. I hung up before she could respond. Then I sat at that kitchen table and made a decision that would alter everything. I spent the next hour on the phone with my bank. Sarah, the customer service representative, patiently listened as I explained my needs. Mrs. Patterson, just to confirm, you want to freeze the account and remove the secondary user's access? That's correct. And you understand that Miss Rachel Thompson will no longer be able to make any withdrawals or transfers? I understand perfectly. There was a pause. Sarah's kind voice suggested she had heard stories like mine before. I'll process this right away. The freeze will take effect within the hour. Is there anything else I can assist you with today? Actually, yes. I would like to transfer the remaining funds to a new account, one that only I have access to. I can absolutely help you with that. 30 minutes later, it was complete. The emergency account was frozen, and the remaining $9,000 was now in a new account, safe and under my sole control. I brewed a cup of tea, the good kind, not the generic bags, and sat down to wait. The call came at 2:15 in the afternoon. Mom, Rachel's voice was high and panicked. What did you do? My card was just declined. I'm in the middle of Target, and my card won't work. I froze the account, I replied calmly, stirring honey into my tea. You what, Mom, are you insane? I have groceries in my cart. This is humiliating. Use your own card, Rachel. You and Brad make a combined $200,000 a year. You can afford groceries. That's not the point. You can't just freeze my account. It's not your account. It's my account that I granted you access to, and now I've removed that access. I could hear her breathing rapidly, filled with anger. This is about yesterday, isn't it? About what I said. Mom, I apologized. No, you didn't. You told me I was being oversensitive. Because you were. God, you're so dramatic. This is financial abuse. You're punishing me. I set down my teacup. Rachel, I reviewed the statements, every single transaction. Did you know that in the last 3 years you've spent $34,000 from that account? Silence. $34,000, Rachel, on handbags, restaurants, spa days. That money came from your father's life insurance and from savings I accumulated by living frugally. While you were buying $1,500 purses, I was eating crackers for lunch to save money. I didn't know it was that much, she admitted, her voice subdued, because you never looked, you never asked, you just took. Mom, please, I need access to that account. Then pay your bills with your salary. You don't understand. We have obligations. The house payment is due next week, and we put it on the account because Brad's bonus got delayed. I closed my eyes. You used my money for your mortgage payment. It was just going to be temporary. I hung up, my hands shaking, not from shock, but from rage. For the next 2 days, Rachel called 17 times. I did not answer. She sent text messages that started with apologies and ended with accusations. I remained silent. On Thursday evening, she arrived at my door. I saw her through the window getting out of her Mercedes, wearing a camel-colored coat that likely cost more than my monthly grocery budget. She appeared distressed, her makeup smudged as if she had been crying. Part of me wanted to leave her standing there, but I am still her mother, even when my heart aches. I opened the door. Mom, her voice trembled. Please, we need to talk. I stepped aside and allowed her in. She walked into the living room, the same room where I had rocked her to sleep as a baby, where she had opened Christmas presents, where she had prepared for prom in that blue dress. She sat on the couch, and I settled across from her in Frank's old recliner. I'm sorry, she said. I'm really, truly sorry. For what specifically? She blinked. For what? I pressed. For taking advantage? For not appreciating me? Do you know why I froze the account, Rachel? Because I hurt your feelings. No. I leaned forward. I froze it because you needed to learn what your life actually costs. You've been living beyond your means and using my money as a safety net. That ends now. Her face flushed. We're not living beyond our means. We have good jobs. Then why did you need my money for your mortgage? She opened her mouth, then closed it, looking away. You want to know what I pay for? I continued. I pay $1,200 in property tax every year on this house. I pay for utilities, insurance, groceries, my medications. Last month, my water heater broke. It cost $800 to replace. I had to dip into my emergency savings because I couldn't ask you for help. You were too busy spending my money on handbags. Mom, I'm not finished. When your father died, I received $150,000 from his life insurance. Do you know where most of it went? Your college loans. We paid them off so you could start your career debt-free, $40,000. Then your wedding, $28,000. Then the account I set up for you, which you drained buying items you don't need. Tears streamed down her face now. I didn't realize. No, you didn't, because you never had to think about it. Money just appeared when you needed it, and you assumed it always would. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. What do you want me to do? I want you to pay your own bills. I want you to budget. I want you to understand that just because you can buy something doesn't mean you should, and the account remains frozen. The money that's left is mine. I earned it, I saved it, and I will keep it for my own emergencies. She stood up abruptly. So that's it? You're just cutting me off? What kind of mother does that? The kind who is tired of being taken for granted. Rachel stared at me as if I had slapped her. You're being cruel. No, sweetheart, I'm being a parent, something I should have done a long time ago. She grabbed her purse, one of those designer bags I now knew cost more than my monthly income. Brad was right. He said you would do something like this. He said you were controlling. That stung. Brad said that? He sees how you are, always acting like you're some kind of martyr. Poor Patty, living on her little Social Security check. Well, maybe if you had actually built a career instead of being a housewife, you would have more money. The words hung in the air like poison. I stood up slowly, my knees aching from arthritis that I couldn't always afford to treat. But I stood tall and looked my daughter in the eye. Get out of my house. Mom, get out. She left, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the picture frames on the wall. I sank back into Frank's chair and cried for the first time since the funeral, not quietly, but with sobs that came from a deep, broken place. This was broken. My relationship with my daughter, the little girl I had nursed through chickenpox, held during thunderstorms, and cheered for at every school play. She was gone. In her place stood a stranger who believed I had wasted my life. That night, sleep eluded me. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the house settle and reflecting on everything. Around 3 a.m., I got up and went to Frank's office. I had kept it largely unchanged since his passing, dust covers over his desk and filing cabinet, but his papers remained organized as he had left them. I retrieved our old financial records, tax returns, mortgage statements, and receipts I had saved for decades because Frank was meticulous about record keeping. I began making a list. Every dollar we had spent on Rachel, every sacrifice, every cost. The sun rose as I completed it. My back ached from sitting at the desk and my eyes burned from reading old papers in dim light. But I had it. Every single expense documented and totaled. College, $43,000 in loan payoffs, plus $32,000 in tuition and expenses we paid directly. Wedding, $28,000. Her first car, $8,000. Down payment assistance for her first apartment, $6,000. The emergency account contributions, $43,000. Smaller expenses over the years. Birthdays, Christmas, support with bills when she was starting out, furniture, clothing, and the laptop for graduate school. The total amounted to $187,000. $187,000. I leaned back, contemplating that figure, and knew exactly what I would do. On Friday morning, I called my lawyer. Well, not my lawyer, but Frank's lawyer. Gerald Mitchell had handled our wills and estate planning. Although semi-retired now, he remembered me when I called. Patty Patterson, it's been years. How are you holding up? I need help, Gerald. It concerns Rachel. We met at his office that afternoon, located in one of those old downtown buildings with creaky floors and windows overlooking Main Street. Gerald's office smelled of leather and old books. I shared everything with him, presented my documentation, the account statements, and the list of expenses. He listened without interruption, his fingers steepled under his chin. After I finished, he remained silent for a lengthy moment. What do you wish to do, Patty? I want her to understand, truly understand, what she has taken and what she has squandered. Gerald nodded slowly. I can draft a formal accounting, a detailed breakdown of every financial contribution you and Frank made to her life. While it won't have legal weight for recovery, as these were gifts rather than loans, it will be official and documented. That's what I want. And then what? I had contemplated this all night and into the morning, as well as during my drive to his office. Then I want to revise my will. He raised an eyebrow. Go on. Tommy lives in Seattle. He's a teacher, married with 2 children. He calls me every Sunday. He never asks for money. When I offered to assist with my grandson's braces, he declined, saying they would manage. That's my son. Gerald began pulling out a legal pad. Rachel receives nothing. I continued, everything goes to Tommy, the house, my savings, whatever remains. If she perceives this as controlling, if she believes I wasted my life, then she does not deserve the fruits of that life. Patty, I must ask, are you certain? This is permanent. I'm 72 years old, Gerald. I have never been more certain of anything. He drafted the documents, and I reviewed every word, signing every page. When I left his office 2 hours later, I felt lighter than I had in years. That evening, Rachel called again. I let it go to voicemail. She did not leave a message. On Saturday, she texted, Mom, please, can we just talk? I miss you. I contemplated that message for a long time, wondering if she genuinely meant it or if she simply missed my financial support. I chose not to respond. Sunday arrived, and Tommy called as scheduled at 6 p.m. Hey, Ma, how's Ohio treating you? Hearing his voice brought a smile to my face. Oh, same old, same old. How are my grandchildren? Driving us crazy. Emma wants a puppy. Jake wants a skateboard. Sarah and I just want 5 minutes of peace. We conversed for an hour about his students, Sarah's promotion at work, Emma's school play, and Jake's baseball team, Normally Matters. He expressed his love before we concluded the call, as he always did. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks. On Monday morning, I sent Rachel 2 items, a copy of the financial accounting Gerald had prepared, and a letter. I had rewritten the letter a dozen times, striving to find the right words. Dear Rachel, enclosed is a detailed accounting of every dollar your father and I invested in your life. This is not a bill. You do not owe me money. However, you do owe me recognition. You stated that I don't pay for anything. You claimed I wasted my life as a housewife. I was a mother. I chose to be a mother. I sacrificed my dreams of finishing college to raise you and your brother. I wore secondhand clothing so you could have new school supplies. I went without so you would not have to. Your father worked tirelessly to provide for our family. He died at 64, exhausted and worn out, yet proud that his children had opportunities he never had. We financed your education, your wedding, and your emergencies. We did it out of love, never expecting repayment, only hoping for your appreciation. But you did not appreciate it. You took and took without ever expressing gratitude. The account is closed. I will no longer provide you with money, neither for vacations, nor for mortgages, nor for anything. You earn more in 1 year than your father and I made in 5. You do not need my assistance. You need to learn responsibility. I love you, and I will always love you, but I will no longer tolerate disrespect. I mailed it on Monday. By Wednesday morning, she had received it. The call came at 10 a.m. I was watering my African violets in the kitchen window when my phone rang. Mom, her voice sounded strange and taut. I received your letter. And the accounting? Yes, I reviewed everything. I waited. I didn't know it was that much. I never added it all up. No one compelled me to give you those things, Rachel. But no one forced you to be ungrateful either. She was crying now. I could hear it in her breathing. I said horrible things to you about Dad, about your life. I was so angry, and I lashed out. You meant them, didn't you? There was a long pause. I don't know. Maybe I did in that moment. I was embarrassed. Standing in Target with a declined card, I felt like a child being punished. Brad has been in my ear for years, saying, "You're too involved. We need boundaries." And I let him influence my perception of you. Brad did not make you do anything. You chose to listen. I know that now. Mom, can I come over, please? I need to see you. I surveyed my kitchen, the table where we had shared countless meals, the photographs on the refrigerator, the life I had built. Not yet, I replied softly. I need time, Rachel. How much time? I don't know. Mom, please don't shut me out. I cannot lose you. You should have considered that before you lost respect for me. I ended the call. My hands were steady this time. The following weeks were quiet. Rachel did not call or text. I wondered if she had given up or if she was finally reflecting on my words. Tommy called on his usual Sunday. I shared everything with him, the account, the letter, all of it. He was silent for a long time after I finished. Ma, I'm sorry you're going through this. You didn't know Rachel was using your money? I knew she could be thoughtless at times, but not to this extent. I changed my will, Tommy. You should be aware of that. You didn't have to do that for me. I didn't do it for you. I did it because you earned it. You respect me and appreciate what your father and I built. Rachel views it as something she is entitled to. Have you heard from her at all? No, it's been radio silence. Give her time. Perhaps she is processing. Maybe. But I was uncertain if I believed that. Then, 3 weeks after I mailed the letter, something shifted. I was at the grocery store organizing my weekly shopping with carefully arranged coupons when I spotted Brad, Rachel's husband. He was alone, standing in the cereal aisle, staring at prices as if they were written in a foreign language. He saw me and turned pale. Patty, hi. Brad? He shifted uncomfortably. How have you been? Fine, and you? Good. Yeah, good. He clearly was not well. He looked tired and stressed. Listen, I wanted to apologize for what Rachel said to you. The comments regarding your life and Frank. That was not acceptable. Did you instruct her to say those things? His jaw tightened. I may have expressed frustrations about boundaries, but I never told her to disrespect you like that. But you agreed with her. He looked away. I thought you were too involved in our finances. I believed Rachel relied on you too much. I wanted us to be independent. You are independent, Brad. You both earn excellent incomes. Yes, well, he chuckled bitterly. It turns out we were living beyond our means, way beyond. When you froze the account, we had to actually examine our budget. I remained silent, standing there with my cart full of generic items and sale products. We're $30,000 in credit card debt, he continued. Our mortgage is higher than we can truly afford. The car payments alone are overwhelming. I said nothing, merely observing. We're selling the Mercedes, he added. We found a buyer. We canceled our gym memberships, streaming services, and wine club. Rachel is devastated. She should be devastated about losing her mother, not her luxuries. He nodded slowly. You're right. She knows that now. She's been different since your letter. She reads it every night. That doesn't alter what she said. No, it doesn't. But perhaps, he hesitated, then continued, she wants to make it right. She's just scared you won't allow her to. I need to see change, Brad. Real change, not merely panic because the money stopped. I understand. He walked away, but his words lingered with me. A week later, on a Saturday afternoon, Rachel appeared at my door once more. This time, she wasn't in designer attire, just jeans and a simple sweater. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail, and she wore minimal makeup except for a touch of mascara. She appeared younger, more like the daughter I remembered. Mom, can I please come in? I granted her entry. We took the same seats as before. Her on the couch, me in Frank's chair. She opened a notebook filled with pages of handwriting, numbers, lists, and notes. This is our budget, she said quietly. Brad and I sat down and actually examined everything. What we earn, what we spend, where it all goes. We've been living as if we make twice what we actually do. I listened without interruption. We're selling the Mercedes. We already have a buyer. We canceled everything we don't absolutely need. We're meal planning, using coupons and shopping sales, methods you tried to teach me years ago that I once considered beneath me. She looked up, her eyes rimmed with red. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. Not just because the money stopped. That was a wake-up call. But that's not why I'm here. I read your letter every single night and I realized something. What's that? I became someone I don't like, someone who measures people by what they can provide instead of who they are, someone who disrespects sacrifices I do not comprehend. You gave up everything for me and Tommy, and I repaid you by treating you like an ATM and an outdated embarrassment. Tears cascaded down her face. Dad died working to give us a better life. You lived on next to nothing to ensure we had everything, and I threw it in your face because I was too selfish and foolish to recognize what I had. She produced something else from the notebook, a check. This is $5,000. It's from selling my handbag collection. I had 14 designer bags, Mom. 14. Each cost over $1,000. I sold them all. This money is yours. I know it doesn't come close to what I took, but it's a start. I don't want your money back, Rachel. I know, but I need to give it anyway. I need to begin making things right. I looked at my daughter, truly looked at her, and saw something I hadn't in years: humility, understanding, growth. If you have been following this story and wish to see how individuals like Rachel finally learn their lessons, please hit that subscribe button. Your support means everything to me. The money isn't what matters, I said softly. What matters is whether you genuinely mean this, whether this signifies real change or merely panic. It's real, Mom. I promise you it's real. Then prove it. How? Rachel asked. How do I demonstrate it to you? I pondered that, considering what I truly needed from her. Time, I finally said. Show me over time that you've changed, not through grand gestures or checks, but by how you live your life, by the choices you make, by whether you call me to talk, not because you need something. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I can do that. And therapy. You and Brad need to consult someone regarding your relationship with money and why you felt compelled to live beyond your means. We've already started, 2 sessions in. That surprised me. Really? Really. Our first assignment was to write down what we value most. I wrote family. Then the therapist asked if my spending reflected that value. It didn't at all. She stood, leaving the check on the table. I'm not asking you to forgive me today. I'm not requesting you to revert your will or grant me access to anything. I'm merely seeking a chance to be your daughter again. The real kind, not the one who only appears when she wants something. I stood as well, my knees protesting. That's all I've ever wanted, Rachel. She approached me hesitantly, and I opened my arms. She fell into them as if she were 12 years old again, crying against my shoulder. I love you, Mom. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I love you too, sweetheart. We stood there for a long time. The afternoon sun filtered through the windows, catching dust motes in the air. For the first time in months, my house felt like a home again. Rachel began visiting for dinner once a week. Just for dinner, just to talk. She assisted with household tasks like fixing a leaky faucet and cleaning the gutters, tasks Brad knew how to do. She sometimes brought groceries, the generic brands I used, and we cooked together. She never inquired about the account or mentioned money. 3 months later, she and Brad sold their house and purchased a smaller one, significantly downsizing. She informed me they had paid off their credit cards and were building a legitimate emergency fund. 6 months later, on what would have been Frank's 72nd birthday, Rachel presented me with a gift, a photo album. Inside were pictures I had never seen, photos of Frank and me at her college graduation, me helping her prepare for her wedding day, me holding her when she was just hours old. On the first page, she had written, "To the woman who gave me everything and asked for nothing but respect. I'm sorry it took me so long to see you. I love you, Mom." I cried as I read it, good tears this time. Did I revert my will? Not yet. Perhaps someday. Maybe when I am certain the change is permanent. But I regained my daughter, the real one, the one who remembers her roots and values those who helped her along the way. That, more than any amount of money, is worth everything. Please kindly subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, with love and respect.